Greetings, brothers and sisters. So a bunch of things to get to today. Some sort of alleged Britney meltdown. But is it? We'll get to that just a bit. This thing with JoJo Magoo. White House says more documents with classified markings were found at Biden's Delaware home. Of course, we had the one where I covered it yesterday or 2 days ago, where he said he had it in a garage with his Corvette, but it was locked. And this has become a huge hypocritical problem for them. Because as much as they want to say that they handled it different than Trump, he has documents strewn about multiple locations, insecure documents. And what I've said since the beginning, the two things that are worse than Trump, and Trump's thing was that he resisted giving the documents back. He fought the archive people, and they had to come raid his house. So that's the reason they're saying Trump's thing is worse. And, I don't, whatever. But the reason that Biden's thing is worse is that he had the documents for a longer time, didn't know where the hell they were, didn't even know he had them. I mean, that's their story. And Hunter Biden is a guy who will do anything to profit to sell his dad's fame for whatever it is, access to his dad, and his dad's involved in that. And so did Hunter have any, I'm sure Hunter would have the ability to go to the garage, say, where the Corvette was. And so who knows who got access to these documents. I don't care. I believe everything's, the whole top secret thing. It's too many secrets, and, we live in a world of governmental secrets and all that stuff. But JoJo Magoo doesn't. This is his world, right? They're supposed to take these things seriously. And here, this is what's being said here.
This morning, new details surrounding those classified documents discovered at President Biden's Delaware home. The White House disclosing Saturday 5 additional pages were found in a review of the Wilmington residence, bringing the tally to 6 pages found this week. It comes after revelations that an initial batch of sensitive records was unearthed in Mr. Biden's garage in December. On Thursday, the White House...
His garage, and they're getting that Corvette in there. And he said, Mr. Biden. She didn't say, let's play that again here. She didn't say President Biden. She said Mr. Biden.
After revelations that an initial batch of sensitive records was unearthed in Mr. Biden's garage in December. On Thursday, the White House confirmed that detail, while adding another classified document had been located in an adjacent room. But the lawyers who found it didn't have the security clearance needed to examine it, leading White House counsel Richard Sauber to go to Delaware himself, explaining, while I was transferring it to the DOJ officials who accompanied me, 5 additional pages with classification markings were discovered among the material with it, for a total of 6 pages.
We're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review.
The White House has also...
So, these things are usually in a folder. That's how they, So he had loose pages just sitting in different places. I mean, this is horrific because they made such a big deal about Trump, right?
Promised to work with the newly named special counsel as the list of unanswered questions grows, including how did the documents get there, who had access in the intervening years, and will President Biden sit for a potential interview with the DOJ? Bob Bauer, President Biden's personal attorney, writing his team has, quote, attempted to balance the importance of public transparency where appropriate.
Okay, so I've heard various reporters on CNN and MSNBC say they don't like how non-transparent he's being. This could kill him. This could destroy his presidency, but so could have Hunter Biden's hard drive, so... I mean, there's a number of things, the economy, him droning kids in Afghanistan. I mean, there's lots of things. It's just whether the news media takes it seriously or not, and whether they've been told to take JoJo Magoo down because, he's, a doddering old fool. One indication that they may be taking him down is Huffington Post seems to be bailing on JoJo Magoo. To some extent. It says here, under scrutiny, Biden's lawyers find more documents at POTUS Delaware home. They they've done everything they can to whitewash. All the media has, even Fox News has minimized, his mental incompetence and everything else. And so this guy shouldn't be president, but he is, right? He's not mentally competent. Among other reasons, but that being a huge one. You can't have somebody who's senile be president, but they did it with Reagan, and now they're doing it with this guy. And then they said this today. Dem senator concerned GOP will use Biden docs to create chaos. Well, that ship has already sailed when you did it to Trump, right? Of course they are. Like, this is, they're not going to, this is going to be, a thing. They're going to make this a thing as much as they can because they control the House and, these other things that are going on. And what happened with Trump, you can't, like I said, differentiate these things and pretend that one's okay when it's not. So this is from Huffington Post. Like they gave the picture they're giving here of him, right? It's when they, that's when they start turning on you. Biden may have jeopardized national security with document stash, Skiff says. Skifty Skiff. So that's a problem. He's Skifty Skiff totally is a, if he's going in on Biden, there might be some, we'll see. Like I thought they would drop him before the first election. We'll see what they do here. So then there's this. Prince Harry mentioned his private parts over 15 times in memoir Spare. Way to go, Harry. Harry and his Todger. Harry loves his Todger. So I didn't get a chance to read the comments, I guess from 2 days ago. I'm behind. But I saw one on my phone, like they come in once in a while. Some comments come in on my phone. And somebody said, what's a Todger? And I'm like, well, you might want to watch the video, right? What's a Todger, Harry? Then there was this. Britney Spears acts manic in restaurant as Sam Asghari storms out, report says. Britney Spears reportedly had a meltdown at an LA restaurant Friday that caused her husband, Sam Asghari, to leave the establishment. People who allegedly witnessed the incident at Joey Woodland Hills, California, and told TMZ. If they allegedly witnessed, that means they're not even sure they witnessed this. They're saying they did. Was manic and began speaking gibberish. So gibberish is a great word. And then this is the gibberish here. People started filming her. That was the big thing here. And she put up the menu to block them filming her. That was a waiter. In a video obtained by the outlet, Spears could be seen holding a menu to shield her face from the cameras as Sam Asghari stormed out of the restaurant. But there's more. Britney's manic episode in restaurant, husband Sam storms out. This is the TMZ thing there. But then this was today. Sam Asghari shuts down report that Britney Spears had a meltdown at a restaurant. He said, here, don't believe what you read online, people. What do you mean? I thought everything on the internet was... What are you saying, Sam Asghari? You're saying that stuff on the internet isn't true? And then one of my viewers sent me this. And it says, we reached out to Joey in Woodland Hills and spoke directly to the waiter who served Britney and Sam on Friday night. This is Free Britney Live. And here are the cliff notes of what he told us. Britney did not have a manic episode, as is being reported by TMZ. She was upset, but not overtly, when another patron started to film her and held the menu to shield herself. According to the waiter, what you see going on in the video was asking her if she wanted to be seated somewhere else more private, but by then they had already finished their meal and opted to leave instead of being moved. Why did she still have a menu then? Usually they take the menus after you have eaten the meal. She went to the restroom. He didn't storm off as TMZ. Sam went to the restroom. He didn't storm off as TMZ reported. The waiter said Britney wasn't speaking gibberish. Well, That's Britney's native language. Britney pretty much always speaks gibberish. Because they were being filmed, the restaurant staff let Britney and Sam leave without paying so they could get out SAOP, so not to continue to be filmed while they were waiting for their bodyguard to go in and cover the bill. The person who filmed Britney was also asked to leave and won't be allowed back. The waiter was deeply apologetic to Britney, and she was told not to worry about it, and that has been going on for years. He says she was the kindest person, despite the uncomfortable situation she was put in by the person recording. The restaurant also said the person who did the filming has been banned from dining at any of the restaurants for the foreseeable future. Kablowie. So let's see what Britney's doing. Hey, Britney. Why are you giving the finger to people, Britney? Britney. There's this. Okay, there she goes. She's doing the thing, back and forth. Woo, woo, look at me go. There you go, Britney. Back and forth. Here, that's a heart on my throat. Wearing my heart on my throat. Look at me go. It's halfway dancing, just giving the finger to anybody who will listen. Heart on the throat again. It's me. Peekaboo. I'm going to do my hair. Here, Illuminati eye. Here, boom, I'm going to shoot you. I'm going to give you a finger and shoot you. Look at me go. Speak some gibberish, Britney. Where's your gibberish? There's some gibberish. Boom. Devil's horns. She's giving it all. Illuminati eye, devil's horns, finger. She's giving it all. Boom. Thumbs up. Okay. Illuminati eye. Right there. Boom. Do it. Yeah, there you go. Pow. Pow. Take that, MNFs. Take that. Boom. Double Illuminati, double guns. Hey, she's doing it all. Weapon on my face. Do the Tiffany move. Like, there we go. All right. It just gets uncomfortable after a while. And then this thing here, I don't know what this is. I have no idea what this is, but it looked pretty cool to me. Exactly. And there's her wearing a Coke outfit here multiple times, and we saw this video here. So there's no posting on it from Britney. This says, that's why I did. Here's a restaurant. Melissa Illustrations. There she is sitting at a restaurant. So the jury's still out. The Free Britney people are pretty, convinced that Britney would handle this just like a sane person, whereas there's been rumors that she's been speaking gibberish again. So there's AI technology, these AI robots that they're putting out in Washington, D.C., these ones that can shoot you. And, So for some reason, this was recommended to me by YouTube, which I thought was interesting. Hugh Jackman explains why Wolverine is coming back for Deadpool 3. And I saw this guy, and I said, all right, I have to hear like a little bit of this. And then this guy delivers one of the lines of one of the best, well, let's hear it here.
I think it's fair to say you are best known to most audiences for having played Wolverine in the X-Men movies.
You are best known for having played Wolverine in the, what was it? Mentioned the last part.
I think it's fair to say you are best known to most audiences for having played Wolverine in the X-Men movies.
You are best known to most audiences for playing Wolverine in the X-Men movies, right? That's wonderful. He sucks worse than I thought.
I think it's fair to say you are best known to most audiences for having played Wolverine in the X-Men movies. And here we have a clip of you fighting, and it doesn't actually go so well, Mystique.
Oh, yeah, right.
You're fighting Mistake, and it doesn't go so well. Chris Wallace sucks. I mean, unbelievably so, right? They're doing everything to make him, they gave him a huge contract, and then they were going to put him on that CNN Plus that collapsed, and now they're stuck with him, right? Okay, so I almost didn't put this video out today. I had, I don't know if it was this channel or the other channel, but I was just talking about I hadn't had a headache since I quit caffeine. But I got one, and I had one for 3 days. And what was going to happen was we were bringing our cows to have them processed. The cows have been kind of a nightmare. We finally finished our pasture, but, we just, to really have animals, if you're going to be a real farmer and not some hobby one, you have to look at it economically. Like, for example, we have lots of chickens and they lay lots of eggs, but we can't eat all their eggs in the summer and then we don't have enough eggs in the winter. So it's okay as long as we're not spending more money on food, which we are, because we have starlings and sparrows, English sparrows that are not native to this country. They're invasive species. The starlings are the worst, and they come and eat the food and they crap all over the place. They just suck, and they were really bad during that epic cold spot, whatever it was. And so you want to spend less money on your on the chickens, their feed and everything else, than you would on eggs, right? To be effective. Like if you're gonna you can calculate how much you're spending on, or I should say how much it costs you for a dozen eggs, say. And the same thing for cows, right? We have to feed them hay in the winter, and we give them some grain. And so, the price of, we're not milking them, and we intended to milk them, but it never happened, right? Because, it wasn't going to happen like now, but it was never going to happen. Because we got these cows, May and her daughter that we named Coco, her heifer. Heifer is a girl cow and a calf is a boy cow. And we got them, and we hired some guy to drive the cows over here after we purchased them, and they were not happy. Well, May was not happy. She was taken away from the herd, and she was like, the guy was, he drove lots of animals, and he said that was the worst thing he ever experienced. She was banging into either side of the trailer, and she was a disaster, right? He was stressed out, and May came in, and she just ran around the yard looking at us. Cows have great memories, and they never forget you. They smell you once, and they never forget you, right? Smell you later, and they never forget you. They don't see so well, but they have a great sense of smell, and they form an opinion of you, and they can be pretty stubborn. They're curious, like our cows were curious, but they were, kind of hostile from the beginning because May felt like it was our fault that she was yanked away from her herd or whatever, which in a kind of way it was. And she just never settled down. And Coco was friendlier, but Coco just takes everything in the yard. Like we have these barrels, like 50-gallon barrels that are just, they're empty right now. But she just takes everything. We have a couple of garbage cans. She just pushes all over the yard, right? And then everything that she can butt into, she does. And, they just are, they're so curious, and every time you're trying to do something, they come over and they poop over there. They just, they're just kind of a hassle. And I like cows a lot, but these weren't really great cows, and certainly having them in the yard sucked. And we were spending, more money than they were worth on them. And we didn't really have a plan, and we certainly weren't going to be able to milk either one of them because they just weren't tame enough, right? It's better if you raise them, like you bottle feed them and you have an affectionate relationship with them and all those things. And so, they just suck. Like they're just, and they're kind of, May's had an attitude, like she takes an aggressive stance when I walk by her oftentimes, like trying to make herself big and, huffing and puffing, it's just, like she takes a combat stance, She's not going to do anything, but it's just, sucks. So I'm feeding them. Like I'm walking over to feed them, and she's like, trying to square up with me, right? Another thing was I built this cool, like, stream and waterfall with a pump in it. It was fairly inexpensive to do, but it was neat looking. And, the stream was a winding little stream, and we had so many frogs in the, I had multiple, on top there was like multiple mini ponds, and there's a small, like, 8-foot pond, and, it was cool. And the cows just mashed it, just wrecked it. And just so many things. Like, I can't even get into it all, right? So we had, agreed that it was time to move on from the cows, and we're just over them. And, we always knew that if May didn't calm down, which she really hasn't, getting them in a trailer was going to be a nightmare. Because their cows are smart, right? And they can, smell a rat or whatever it is. And so my idea was, like, we'd get a trailer and we'd just leave it there in the yard for a while. They get used to it, and we'd feed them in the trailer, and we'd, get them so they were, calm about it, which they were. And I put a couple of feed buckets in it. We were feeding them in there. We gave them some sweet feed. We gave them some molasses and things to keep them, get them in the trailer. And they were, regularly eating out of it, first hay and then feed and things like this. But May wouldn't go in all the way, so I took a bunch of what we call Dusty 12. It's in different parts of the country, it's called different things, but it's basically the leftover crushed rock. You go to these quarries and they have leftovers like sand rock that turns into a nice cement base. It's great. And I built a ramp into the, with the tractor, I built a ramp going into the trailer so they would get in there. Sometimes May would get in there. Coco would get in there all the way, but May wouldn't. And it was just this stressful thing. And we talked about getting another trailer, but they're expensive. And so tomorrow, Tuesday morning, the people we buy our hay from and we bought this trailer from agreed to drive the cows over to the place we were going to have them processed, right? And, as sucky as the cows are, we like them, and they're part of the, their thing. They're part of the farm, and it's tough to, it's just a tough thing. And my wife is more sensitive to it than I am, but I was stressed about it, right? And it's the part of farming I don't really. I'm not into it, right? So it's just a bummer for me. And my wife, we're animal people, and we like having the animals, and there's things you got to do that you don't want to be have livestock, but it is what it is. And the way we were going to do it is we were going to lock the cows in the trailer today, and the people are going to come at 4 a.m, and we were going to follow them. They're going to drive the trailer to the place, and my wife, I had a headache starting on Saturday, and it just got worse. Like, it just wouldn't go away. It got better Sunday morning, but then when it came back, and then it was pretty bad Monday. Monday night was really bad. And, my migraine headaches, it's the pain in the head, is probably like a 3 or a 4, could be less. I don't think it ever gets up to what I would call a 5. But I also get nauseous, and I, will dry heave and just nauseous for, days on end. My digestion's off, my stomach's not working right. And then I just feel like crap. Like I don't lose my motivation. It was the only time that I, miss caffeine because, sometimes when I get a migraine, I drink like my chai. It'll open everything back up. That it will open up the blood vessels and everything will start flowing again. So I was like, yeah, I don't have that going on for me. So, and it was just continuously lingering on. And, I woke up and early in the night and I could tell my wife wasn't sleeping. I'm like, are you not sleeping? She goes, yeah. I goes, it's the cows. She goes, yeah. So she was really stressed out about the cows because we're going to put them in, the trailer Monday afternoon, and they were going to be in the trailer all the way till 4 a.m. And God knows how May would be handling that, right? So I, so I made the video this morning. My wife found that we could bring the cows a day early if we got them there by 4. And we talked to this couple, and they agreed to come early, today instead of tomorrow. So I fed the cows, and I put some, sweet feed and some molasses in there. They're ready to go. I didn't feed them yesterday, so they'd be ready to go with the feed, right? And I opened it up. I've been closing the doors, and they ran right in the trailer. But May didn't get her legs all the way in. And I thought I could push her in because when you brush their legs from behind, their tendency is to move forward. And I thought when I hit her with the back of the door, she would push her 2 feet in. Because sometimes she puts her feet in, but mostly she doesn't. And I thought I'd have enough strength to get her in, and I didn't. She just bowled me over like I was nothing. And I'm like, oh, so that's not going to work. So I tried a couple more times, and I got her daughter Coco in. But Coco, I had a divider. There's 2 doors. It's kind of a complicated situation. And I had 2 doors, and I put Coco in, and there was a divider because it was for horses. And she lifted the divider up, which was heavy as F and hard to move. and she got out. And now they're both kind of rattled. They're both, looking at me like I'm the Antichrist because they're just not, they're not digging what's happening. And it's raining and my headache sucks and I just have low energy and this is a complete bummer. And, the plan that we had and we worked on for a while, had basically failed. So I looked at a few YouTube videos and I looked at a guy who had the exact same trailer and he did the exact same thing I did, sweet feed, all these things. But he had smaller cows. Like our cows were just tightly fitting into this trailer. And that was part of the problem. And May would lean forward as far as she could just so she could keep her feet outside the trailer. I mean, it was just like, and if you walked near her, she would run out. Like if she heard you coming, she would run out. Like even before we were trying to close her in. So the people we get our hay from, we're friendly with them. They're nice farmers, and they came over about their trailer. And we tried to get them into their trailer, but that was like not going to happen. They just, they had eaten so much feed, so they weren't craving it. But even if they did, it was a step up because I built that Dusty 12 ramp for the other trailer. And it was like, all right, it's not going to work. And, I had a headache. Like now my headache just sucks and I have no energy. And, it was just a real bummer of a day. So I wasn't going to make my video today. I wasn't going to edit it. I was going to wait till tomorrow. I was like, I'm not, and the money's so low now in January and it's really bad anyway. I mean, I'm barely making anything on the YouTube videos, which I have to, think about. I had a really bad December, so it's a whole thing. Like I have to re-strategize and take some time to figure out what I'm going to do because it's not sustainable right now. So it's a whole thing, right? And I'm just really kind of bummed about it, low energy. My wife had just purchased these turmeric pills. I don't take any kind of Advil or any medicine I take has worse side effects, and it just, it'd work for a day, but I'll get the headache the next day anyway. So, what's the sense in using it? And then it'll upset my stomach even more, and it's a whole thing. So I took these turmeric pills that are painkillers, that are some kind of pain relief. And they kind of worked. Like they were, subtle and it didn't bother my stomach. Actually, I think my stomach felt better. And, and then I was, my wife and I were, we were up all night. So we started watching that show Loudermilk, which was, I showed a clip. Someone sent me a clip from it. And, she fell asleep because she had no sleep. And, and I had much, but I had taken a nap earlier. And, so I turned on like some old movie. And it was High Noon with this guy, Gary Cooper, who I'd heard about for years but never knew who he was. And the movie was an old black and white movie from the 50s. And the guy, if you've ever seen the Airplane movie, now this is, people who are my generation. There's a movie called Airplane that was a kind of a comedy. It was kind of a new type of genre movie where they pretended it was a serious movie but it was comedy. And there's a guy who was the pilot. And he started off by saying, I picked the wrong day to go off of caffeine. And I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue. I picked the wrong day to stop snorting coke. Like it just, it was a running gag in the movie. Lloyd Bridges. And I believe his sons are Beau Bridges and Jeff Bridges, who, the dude from whatever that movie is, the Big Lebowski. Jeff Bridges is old as F, right? Like he's in a movie now called The Old Man. And Lloyd Bridges is a young character. He's a deputy that, that quits on the sheriff. So the movie was, it started already, but I taped it anyway. I'm like, all right. The reason I was watching the movie was the black and white nature in the old movie with not so many, special effects. When I have a headache, I'm very sensitive to sound and bright lights and flashing lights and all the things you see, all the sensationalistic things you see in modern movies. But I saw this movie High Noon was on, so I started taping it. So I'm watching the thing. And it starts off with Grace Kelly plays his love interest. Grace Kelly, I believe, is the woman who married the Prince of Monaco. She was like the first Meghan Markle's. She's kind of famous. I never think I've seen her in a movie either. And she had just married this guy, Gary Cooper, the character. And they were heading out of town because some guy he put in prison who was supposed to get hanged and then was supposed to get life because they reduced his sentence, was given 5 years and then set free by the politicians up north. and so he had swore that he was going to kill Gary Cooper, the sheriff, when he got back, but he had just retired, and the new sheriff wasn't going to get in town the next day. And so Grace Kelly and Gary Cooper are riding out of town, and Gary Cooper goes, look, I don't have a gun, and these guys want to kill me, and, you're here, and, I don't have any way to protect you. Plus, I'm leaving the town without a sheriff for a day. I got to go back. He said, I'll get a posse together like we did the last time. We'll get rid of the guy, right? But he goes back, and he goes from one place to another, and everybody rationalizes themselves out of helping him, right? And giving him, a posse. So he's got to face these guys on his own. And the town was a complete mess. These guys were, they were thugs that were running the town. And then Gary Cooper became the sheriff, and he ran him out of town. He put the one guy in jail, and the other three thugs, didn't. They just left, but they were coming back now to kill Gary Cooper. Now, there's a much better movie called High Plains Drifter with Clint Eastwood. It's one of the classic westerns. Like, I don't really like westerns, and like I said, I used to always root for the Indians. But High Plains Drifter is like a masterpiece. Clint Eastwood has a few of them, The Unforgiven and a few other ones. But, this movie was all right for what it was. And so he goes to everybody bails on him. Like, not one guy's willing to stand with him. There's a guy who was going to stand with him. Then he finds out that he's the only one, and he quits on him, right? And his his wife, so-called wife, she wants to leave him because she said she watched her son, her brother and dad die in a gunfight, so she wants no part of it. But she ends up, coming back at the end. But, of course, he kills him, all this stuff. But it was interesting to watch, this town that had, risen up from thug rule. And, some of the people missed the thug rule, and some of the people, oh, wasn't that bad, or whatever it was. But they bail on this guy who they all say was the best sheriff they ever had, right? But anyways, that was my day. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.